Although there is only one expansion in Pokémon TCG Pocket, it is split into 3 different packs containing different cards. So today we're gonna rank the best cards for each type and where to find them. Starting off with Water, the main carry are definitely Starmie and Blastoise, although there are some weird exceptions in Water, for example Greninja and Articuno, because these are 2 cards that can serve both as carry and as support. Because Articuno has got a blowout attack in Blizzard, but it also has Ice Wing, which is really nice in the early stages of the game. Same thing for Greninja, you can use him as a support and just use its support ability, but you can also just jam some energies onto it and start killing stuff on its own. Then for the Water supporters we have Lapras, regular Articuno and Tentacool in Mewtwo. Obviously we get Misty, the most busted support of them all. Not to mention that you have Frostmoth and Golduck. 2 amazing generic supports that you can always pull, no matter which pack you are going for. So even though it may look intimidating to pull for Water decks, it's not as tricky as it looks, because each of the main carries are extremely strong on their own. Therefore my advice for you will be to just focus on whichever build around you want to go for. And as you open that pack, you'll probably get some Golducks and Frostmoths as well, which will help you build a shell for the deck. Obviously, if you are not pulling for Blastoise, then I'd highly recommend to either craft or try to wish for a Misty, because no matter which one of those Water decks you're going for, you will always want 2 Misties in there. Then for Grass, we have Venusaur, we have Vileplume, and we have Exeggutor EX. Exeggutor, once again, it's a weird role player because you can use him both as a carry and as a support. Although if you wanna use him as a carry, there isn't much that goes with him outside of Vileplume and Venusaur. But if we get some more aggro grass deck support in the future, I'm sure that you will be able to build Exeggutor decks that just operate on a more aggressive axis. Although with the current card pool, I don't think that's a viable option at the moment, unfortunately. And that's something that streamlines how to build grass type decks as a whole. That said, if you don't have Venusaur, you can sub it with Vileplume, which is another amazing carry, to be honest. Especially when you consider that for grass role players, you get Erika, which is an insane support. You get regular Exeggutor, you can use it to build an Exeggutor plus Vileplume deck if you just want to go for more of a single price strategy. And if you don't have access to those, you can also use Caterpie or Lilligant, which are other, let's say, budget options in case you don't have Exeggutors yet. Although I'm not a big fan of these, I don't think they're nearly as powerful as Exeggutor. But I know that some people in the community have different thoughts and opinions about this. So if you want to build grass decks, my advice will be for you to focus on Charizard packs, because you can get a whole deck out of it. You can just play any combination of Erika with Exeggutor and Vileplume, and that's just a strong deck. You can already have fun on ranks, and then maybe later on down the line you're gonna open some Mewtwo packs and stumble onto some Venusaur to upgrade your decks. Especially because as you're opening Charizard packs, you will also open some other busted cards that are in this pack, but we'll talk about them in a moment. Then for the colorless build around, we have Lickitung, which I believe you can find them in the Mewtwo packs. And we also have... where is it? Although, do we have to talk about the Pidgeot cult? Yeah, it is pretty much a cult. Alright, let's talk about the Pidgeot cult. So there is a group of Pidgeot enjoyers that pretty much loves and swears by this card, day in and day out. So you see new deck lists coming out all the time. Although I don't think this card is that great, but if you are one of those cultists, then I'd say the most popular way to go about it is to pair it with Arbok, which is another strong card that you can find in any pack. So if you want to build a Pidgeot deck, you can just open Mewtwo packs and you can get the whole deck in there. Then for Lickitung, it's more of a meme choice, but basically it is the Pokemon which can give you the highest damage in the game if you get lucky, right? You just gotta keep flipping heads and you can deal infinite damage. So if you want to build a more coin flip based chaotic team deck, then I think Lickitung is a great finisher for that type of deck. For the colorless role players, we have Farfetch, which is an awesome support for more aggressive strategies. Then we have Kangaskhan, which is the counterpart to Farfetch. She's a really strong supporting piece for slower decks because it's really tanky and it's gonna buy you a lot of time so that you can get your slower game plan online. Lastly, we have Meow also in the Charizard pack, which is a nice generic draw engine for decks who are looking to draw into specific pieces. As a counterpart for colorless, we have Fighters. The main carries are Machamp EX and Kabuto, but also Marowak EX. Obviously, Machamp EX and Kabutops are two pretty tanky Stage 2 Pokemon, so you're not really gonna put them both into the same deck, but they can build two different really powerful fighter decks. Then we have Marowak EX, which is another strong aggressive EX Pokemon, kinda like Executor, although I feel like the fighter type has a lot more support for aggressive strategies, so you can just build Marowak EX on its own. It is also pretty powerful in combination with Kabutops. Speaking of those support cards, we have Sandlash, which is generic, good old Sandlash. You can just pretty much plug it in any fighter deck and it's gonna be fine, I love it. And then we have Hitmonlee, which is... Hitmonlee is weird, it's like a really strong tech card, but because of Pokeball and the fact that you're always guaranteed to start with a basic Pokemon in your hand, you don't see him played that often because it messes up with a lot of the math in the early game. Although if you are building a more aggressive fighter deck and you find yourself already having like 5 or 6 basic Pokemon, then I like including Hitmonlee as my 6th or 7th basic Pokemon, because at that point it's not that likely that you're gonna draw into it as your only basic in your opening hand, and being able to deal 30 damage to benched Pokemon for just 1 energy can be a game-winning effect in the late game. That's why I wanted to give it a mention. Honorable mention for Primeape, because even though Primeape is not that good right now, they revealed a monkey that's coming up in an update, so once that monkey comes out, this Primeape should get a lot stronger and it could see some play here and there. That being said, if you wanna build fighter decks, you should either go for Charizard or Mewtwo packs. It depends on which one you wanna build around, kinda like water. Oh, I almost forgot about Dragonite. I mean, Dragonite is the only dragon and you find it in Mewtwo packs. It's another cult-like type of card, kinda like Pidgeot. Although, I've gotta say, I'm part of the Dragonite cult. The thing is though, that with Dragonite there are so many different ways that you can go about building him that I've made a whole video about it, so if you wanna know more about that, just check the video in the comments down below. Next up, for Electric, we have Pikachu and Jolteon as the main carry. They can't go in the same deck though. For that reason, you don't see many Jolteon decks going around because everyone is just hyper focusing on Pikachu. But Jolteon is also really nice. Let me know in the comments down below if you're playing Jolteon decks, and let's start a discussion about how to build Jolteon, because I'm really interested into that. I feel like Jolteon deserves more experimentation around it. But anyway, I digress. For the electric role players, then we have Zapdos, Electrode, and Zebstrika. As you can see, you find pretty much all you need in the Pikachu pack, therefore if you're looking to build an electric deck, you know where to look for. Go straight for Pikachu packs. Moving on to Psychic Pokemon, we have Mewtwo and Gengar as a carry, plus Alakazam in the Charizard pack. For supporters, we have Gardevoir, always in Mewtwo packs, same thing for Jinx. We also have Hypno in Pikachu packs. Pretty much, if you're going for Mewtwo or Gengar decks, you can find the whole deck just in the Mewtwo packs, because you get Mewtwo and Gardevoir, and you also get Gengar plus Jinx, and these all go very well together. Then if you want to experiment with some lockdown Hypno Gengar type of strategy, you're gonna need to look into Pikachu packs once you're done with your Gengar line. But if you wanna build an Alakazam deck, then you can just go straight for Charizard packs, because I love combining Alakazam with Kangaskhan and you get them both in the Charizard pack. While we're talking about Mewtwo packs, let's also mention Dark decks with the Weezing Koga strategy. So when it comes to Dark decks, I like to pair Weezing with Arbok, and you can get Arbok in any pack. So if you just want to get a Dark deck, then I'd highly recommend Mewtwo packs, because you just get Weezing and Koga in here, and you can just randomly open Arbok as well. Then for the Fire decks, the main carry are Charizard and Ninetales, both in the Charizard pack. And you also get Centiskorch, which is generic, so you can always open it. Centiskorch and Charizard are really similar build. You can build around whichever one you like the most. And then Ninetales is a more aggressive build. So for supporters we have Blaine, always in Charizard pack. This goes really well with Ninetales. And then we have Moltres, which plays really well with Charizard or Centiskorch. As you can see, you find all your fire cards in the Charizard deck. So if you wanna go for a fire build, you can just open up some Charizard and be happy about it. There are also a couple of really busted generic cards, but I wouldn't go as far as opening packs just to find them. Consider these more like a bonus that you get for opening certain packs. And they are Giovanni, that you get in Mewtwo packs. This supporter card is not necessary in most decks, but as you are building your collection, you will be able to slot him in most decks, because it's really generic and kinda useful in some situation. And you also get Sabrina, which shows up in most deck lists, but again, you don't need it in order to play the deck. It's just gonna make it a little bit better than it would be otherwise. I wouldn't say you have to open Charizard pack just because of Sabrina, but if you are already opening the pack, then you could also just get lucky and get some Sabrinas along the way. Oh, and by the way, for more in-depth deck building guides, you might as well just check the video that's on screen right now.